You want to go for a drive?
Shall we?
Wait for me. Well, I did that. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
It's not meant to do that, and please do not expect it to do that. So this is where it all started. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the Ford Ranger Raptor. This is the truck that America needs right now. And that's why they are not going to get it. But we in Europe will get it. So this car is meant to go to the places that the F-150 Raptor is not able to go due to, for example, its immense, its crazy size. One thing is much different. This car can go much further than one tank of fuel because it's a diesel. It's a bi-turbo 2-liter diesel engine. Don't get me wrong, this Ranger is no small car, but we somehow already know this car because it's based on a Ranger. There are many things that are the same. The Ranger Raptor was designed by the Ford Performance department. And well, you may ask, what does that mean? Well, this actually makes a difference. That's a special cell in the Ford Motor Company that is responsible for cars like Ford GT, this Ranger Raptor, the Raptor, the F-150 Raptor. Well, it actually makes a difference. Wait to see its suspension and how it has been built, how this contributes to how car actually drives. Or should I say, how it flies. What is also so awesome about this car is the kind of road presence it has. So people, especially other men, well, they look at you with jealousy when you drive past them. Now, isn't it what the Raptor was built for? Hell no, it was not. So this car is actually meant to be an engineering masterpiece. And after having driven a few kilometers in this car, I actually understand that. This car is ready for any kind of off-road adventure, like whatever you may think of. This guy is wearing goggles. Oh, that's so, look at that. Oh, you can't see that, oh, that's funny. Okay, here I am. Look at me. Here we are. Okay, that was so funny. Well, the wind and the amount of sound that is flying in here is just insane. So I'm not actually very much surprised that he's wearing goggles. So put it simply, it doesn't need any further modifications to do the hardcore off-roading. It turns out it doesn't need that much power. It's all about torque here. By the way, look at this. That's gonna be fun. That was fun. See, this will be copyrighted, so then I can't post it. Raptor itself is a legendary name, and we can see it everywhere around and inside the car. This makes sense since it does carry the special Ford Raptor heritage. Look at the front grille. It's just like in the F-150 Raptor. And this is also what other people will see in their rearview mirrors, which is freaking scary. Those wheel caps are the same as in the F-150 Raptor. Same thing. What is so super special is the suspension of this car. It's Fox Pro suspension, as we have learned. The shocks and whole suspension travel is increased by 30%. So this is comparing to the regular Ford Ranger, which is actually a pretty good car. We've seen some Rangers go through the rocks right here in Morocco, and they do okay. Subject is lost. Swing arms are longer. They are made of aluminum to make them look better and to reduce their weight. In the rear, there are no more leaf springs, and that is one huge change. Here we've got coil springs, and they make the car drive much more smoothly, and they contribute to driving much more smoothly both off-road and on-road, which we also found out. There's one thing to mention here. The payload is not as high as in the regular Ranger, which in fact is a commercial vehicle meant to carry and to tow lots of load. So not this one, all right? But take one or two less passengers and it will carry the same load. See, no problem. We've got 4x 332mm brake discs, and I'm mentioning this because normally in the rear you've got drum brakes. Now this is crazy. This car simply makes you feel good. So you're in better mood automatically. And this is what this car gives you. This car is about the performance. It's about the feeling that you get when you're driving it. And let me tell you, that's a feeling that you get in no other car except for the bigger Raptor. But we don't have that in Europe. Wheels that we have in this car are 285 by 70 R17 wheels. So we've got 17-inch rims on 33-inch tire so the whole wheel is 33 inches, and these are BF Goodrich tires specially prepared for a Ranger Raptor. And this somehow reminds me of a Bugatti, which also have tires designed especially for their cars. Nice. This car has 28.3 centimeters from the lowest point of the chassis to the ground, which is, let me tell you, that's unusual, and that's something you want to have in a car that is going to go serious off-roading. And that is pretty much the same ground clearance that you've got in a F-150 Raptor. So many similarities. Now this is interesting here. Here we've got plastic obviously, but here all this thing, as you see, already was put into use, and that's aluminum. 2,510 kilograms are not to mess with. Please remember that when you see a Raptor behind you, so nobody will even think about cutting you off in this car. So man, this is actually a full-size pickup truck territory. I mean, it weighs as much as an F-150 Raptor and more than other F-150s. Can you imagine that? Well, actually, this is because the F-150s now are getting the aluminum body. So that's one of the reasons that they are lighter. So this is a huge car. It's pretty crazy. There was never such a car in Europe before. Now we got it. And now they are going to drive on the dunes. Just like we did.
I'm good.
Same story here. Yeah. You've got skid plates underneath the car, and they are made of 2.3 millimeter thick steel, or I think it's made of steel or aluminum. I'm not sure. So normally you get 1.4 millimeters. So everything is covered down there. Oh. Wow, this is so different. So this beauty also has a 15 centimeter wider track, and the whole car is even wider than that. I think it's 16.8 if I remember correctly, so it's between 16 and 17 centimeters wider than a regular Ranger, and it's over 2 meters wide. It's crazy. You're also getting some special side steps that are super solid and are meant to stand on actually. So they protect the paint from stones and have these holes for any kind of sand, water, snow and dirt to fly, to go through them, instead of staying and accumulating on top and then making your and then making your trousers dirty. So now, how smart is that? So let me tell you this: if people at heart have thought about this, I also believe that they've thought of other things. So I'm super impressed with that. Like, really. Oh, we've got camels. Look at that. We've got camels. Can you believe that? That's where I'm staying right now. I had an opportunity to go through a speed bump, and let me tell you what an experience that is. So there's no experience because you may not even notice that. Which in fact is a super cool feeling, and I think the only car I have ever experienced something somewhat similar to this was a Mercedes GLS. Perhaps we should try with the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, because this car, with its suspension travel, with its weight, with its ground clearance, and with the way that the suspension is tuned, it's just soaking up everything.
Maybe tomorrow.
Oh, that was so
Yeah,
nice.
but that's how I drive over with my S-Max.
Anyway.
I mean, come on, just a speed bump.
Look at that! Look at that! Cleaning my car! This is insane. So we had to change the location. Actually, this Ranger Raptor feels a little bit as if it was having the air suspension. It's giving the same soft feeling as in the middle of the shock absorber's range. It's giving you that super smooth kind of motion. Just please don't drive over any small Volkswagens. You know, guys, driving a Ranger Raptor doesn't exactly mean that we've got the right to do that. The car's frame has been reinforced to handle much more overload. Much more? What is much more? What exactly is much more? That's 1 more G. So the whole chassis and the frame have been reinforced. They will not fit to a regular Ranger, just like the regular Ranger's frame will not fit to the Raptor body. This 1 additional G is like, yeah, it's like driving over a Volkswagen Golf. So now you can drive over 2 of them. Hope we don't jump off the cliff. I'm not going to go on the other side. I'm just going to park it like this.
He's not going the other side.
Oh, that's awesome. So this track is all about performance, and that's why in a straight line it's slower than a Transit. Well, I got you there, because there is a Transit with a 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine that you may be familiar with, because it's also in a F-150 Raptor and and Ford GT. So I got you there somehow. Well, that Transit gets to 100 kilometers per hour or 60 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds. Well, Raptor Ranger does not necessarily do that. It's not meant to do that, and please do not expect it to do that. We've been driving this car all day yesterday. We were rock crawling. We were going over sand dunes. We were going through the beach with some watery parts. We were climbing. We were jumping. And to be actually really genuinely honest with you, I don't think there was a time that I would actually push the gas pedal fully to the floor. So this car is more about the 500 Newton meters that it's got. It was not designed thinking about doing 0 to 60s.
Go, 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 go.
But there's a 10-speed automatic gearbox from the F-150 that's the same exact gearbox, and it's also in a Mustang GT with a 5 liter V8 engine. So don't worry, just push the pedal to the metal and let the car do its thing. Gas prices are not a joke in Europe, so you don't want to feel the car after 200 miles or 200 kilometers every time. Trust me, I know something about this. It's a pain in the ass. Steel. This is a special material. This is some kind of composite, and it's pretty important not to call it plastic because it's not. And as we know, the Ford engineers get very upset when we call this plastic, so please don't do that. Steel. Check this out. Look, can you see that? You know what I mean? You don't know what I mean, but I mean that there is no start-stop or a no stop-start. And that's for all the haters that try to turn it off right after starting the car. So does the system bother you? Great, get a Ranger Raptor. That's your solution. It doesn't have that. And check this red mark in the middle of the steering wheel. Those paddle shifters are made of magnesium, which is a pretty nice touch. You might not expect that in this kind of car. And this is to simply give you more control while you drive. You don't have to use the manual. While you are in the manual mode, you don't have to use the gear lever or the buttons on the gear lever. This is some really nice stuff, small things, but really, really nice. So, but not very, I don't know. Yeah, one more thing to mention, by the way, what we had right now, that was the pre-collision assist,
yes,
which in this car works based on camera only. We found out a few months ago that a Focus has it working only with a camera. Normally cars have a radar and a camera.
Okay.
I didn't ask the Australian guy why.
Damien. Pretty sure his name was Damien.
Rock and gangsters drive Mercedes-Benz cars here. Guys, now I'll show you something amazing and something that you probably have never seen in any other car. I've seen that only in a Mondeo. Look at that. Let's call it a regular sunshade. What you do, Put it right here. And now you've got this space here that sun uses always to shine in your face. So what you do here, you grab it and move it. This is amazing. I have not seen it in any other freaking car. And this is so easy. That's how it's done. Others, please learn from Ford. This is really an amazing feature. I didn't even know if it was here or not. So you get something else here. This is the system. It's a part of a system called active noise control. You've got 3 microphones here inside. One is there in the back. And what this system does, it's using waves, counter waves, to the sounds that come inside the car to actually mute the noises that you don't want to hear. From the car's speakers, it's emulating, it's sending the opposite sounds, let's say that, so that at the end they just eliminate each other. And your car is much more quiet with the help of technology. You can find such headphones and earphones, and they work beautifully at the office. You can have your office in the Ranger now, but specifically in the Ranger Raptor. The seats are made of the so-called by Ford technical suede, and this car is actually very easy to clean later. Oh no! And those seats are quite supportive. I'm not a very fat guy, but they are quite supportive, and they are also pretty comfortable. Well, I must say, and this comes from a comfort lover. See the headrests? They kind of remind me of the headrests that are in the Lincoln cars. Well, same company after all. See, another advantage of having a big car is that most probably I think that most probably they will move aside. That turned out to be the wrong mode. You don't want to drive in neutral, what is that, normal?
Yeah.
On the side, distraction control works. And that's no good. Got somebody's shoelace. It's pretty quiet inside, and I wouldn't expect that from the tires that we've got mounted here, which are with a kind of a all-terrain sand thread, but they actually do pretty well on the tarmac. I was also actually not expecting them to be very quiet, and actually I was expecting completely opposite. While it really does not, it seems like it doesn't contribute to very much noise. And at the highway speeds which we were doing here, of course, German Autobahn, the car is really quiet. I've heard others say that too. It's really amazingly quiet. Good job once again. It's nicely positioned. The whole car is taller, wider, longer, and it's heavier than a regular Ranger, which is a pretty big car itself. I wish we had some regular SUV to show you how much taller this car is and how you look from the top to those even like X5s, Range Rovers, and so on. It's just a pretty satisfying feeling, I must say. Okay, you've got this Ford Edge, and look how tiny it looks. This is really cool. Despite the fact that this car is pretty big, we've got here a rear view camera, and we've got the parking sensors in the back, so don't worry, you will not run over somebody's child. Blue color here is absolutely awesome. I love it. It's very typical to Ford. It's nicely contrasting with all the black elements in those cars, because the Ranger does not have any chrome elements on the outside. Inside you've got those satin, it's kind of a grayish material inside. It's not chrome, so this car has this, and it's unique to it. So this blue color is then nicely contrasting with it. Also, it looks quite nice in gray, but if you've got a choice, please get this one, and you'll make me happy when I see you on the street. So a huge point here is that the ride is very smooth. I wouldn't expect a pickup truck to give you a Mercedes S-Class like driving experience, so this is insane. And these words come from a true comfort lover, which is me, who actually just once rode in the back of an S-Class, but still anyway. Oh, look at that boy. Well, that's pretty cool too. That's the Big Daddy. That's the Big Daddy. It's also pretty awesome. Wow. So this is where it all started. What we've got here and what might be pretty important to you is keyless entry. You've got that in this car. You've got leather seats with this technical suede made by Ford. You've got leather dashboard. You've got leather steering wheel, which is pretty unique and feels very nice. It's nice and chunky, let's say. It's very nice to hold, and it's got those perforated elements here on the side so that your hands do not sweat that much. This is really nice, clever and smart, and I really appreciate that they were thinking about this. You've got heated seats. You've got the system called traffic sign recognition, which is one of my favorite systems. You've got bi-xenon front lights. You've got LED fog lights. You've got a big touchscreen with a sync multimedia system. You've got the rear locking differential. It's electrically operated, electrically adjustable, both seats. And one thing here, because I've been seeing reviews of this car from, I don't know, was it Australian market or Philippine market, and they were mentioning that the seat, somebody was mentioning that the seat of the passenger does not have the height adjustment. Well, it does. I can prove that to you. Just reach there. I hope you can see that from this perspective, but it does go up and it does go down. So I don't know what that person was saying, why they were saying that, but definitely that was not true. So you get all that in your Ranger Raptor, and you get only one automatic window, which is pretty weird. The three other ones are not automatic. You cannot just push it once more strongly and and have the window go fully down. Why? Well, I don't know yet. Probably there is some explanation. I don't know that. Not a big deal. What you always get in those cars is those pretty massive and cool looking hooks, both in the rear of the car and in the front of the car. Well, that's what I wanted to help you with. Like this. I'll be a useless man again. So the new Ford Ranger Raptor does not have any competition on the European pickup truck market. It's simply just one of a kind. Right now the demand for this car exceeds the supply. Oh, he's taking out the car! So if you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, please give it a thumb up. Maybe they will give me a Ford GT next time so that I can show you how to drive underneath the Ranger Raptor with a Ford GT.
Well, just like yesterday, follow the navigation and have a good day, have a good drive.
Okay, thank you. It started playing.
That's just my phone.
Ah, that's your phone.
It just felt like it was just that moment.